right downtown. Big D, Dallas, Texas. A beautiful city, especially during basketball season. Notice I didn't say football season, by the way. And there you see American Airlines Center, the plaza. Beautiful view right there. They got a hell of a team this year, too. Lots to talk about in regards to these Dallas Mavericks. It's a matchup of two of the best young players in the NBA. 21-year-old Luka Doncic have the Mavericks primed for their first playoff appearance in 4 years. Tonight, he will take on Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets. Denver is chasing the Clippers for the number 2 seed out west. SportsCenter with Stephen A. starts right now.
Welcome to SportsCenter with Stephen A. Smith. Presented by Mountain Dew.
The impact of the coronavirus is being felt in the NBA. Today, the Golden State Warriors announced that they will play their home game tomorrow night against the Brooklyn Nets without fans in attendance. This after the San Francisco Health Office prohibited groups of 1,000 or more from assembling. Welcome to SportsCenter. I'm Stephen A. Smith. I'm here with yours truly, Brian Windhorst. He's sitting right next to me. Lots of stuff to get into. The league was on the phone all day today, talking to its owners, Commissioner Adam Silver, and of course, the 30 owners or so. What can you tell us about what transpired today?
Yeah, there's really kind of two things going on right now, Stephen A. One is they've got to have immediate planning for how they're going to handle the next few days, because obviously we're seeing all of these fans taken out of arenas. Fans are going to be taken out of NBA arenas very soon, all across the board. If they don't make the decision is going to get made for them. They're aware of that. The second thing is long-term planning. Taking a look at arena schedules, talking with team officials, and seeing what the feasibility is of potentially delaying the season, leaving that open as an option that they research.
Let's bring in our ultimate insider, Adrian Wojnarowski, NBA insider. Talk to us. You've been working the phones all day. You've been all over this story, Woj. Talk to us about what you've learned. You just tweeted something a few minutes ago.
That's right, Stephen, Brian. The greater consensus right now among NBA teams is to continue playing the season, but without fans in arenas. The league is going to make a decision by Thursday, by tomorrow, on next steps. But there's a push in this league right now to continue the season without fans in the arena. Another consideration on that owner's call with the league today, I'm told, was the idea of taking a hiatus, stepping back from the season, postponing games, potentially canceling regular season games. But right now, there's a greater push, a much greater push, I'm told, with the league in just continuing to play games, but do it without fans in the arena. And one thing that I know the league office, certainly teams all want, they don't want lost games, and they want to try to keep these games on television.
I know that you talked about there's a stronger push to just not have fans in there, Woj, but how strong, if you can tell us at all, is the push, at least by some of the owners, to actually postpone or cancel some of these games?
Well, I think it's everyone's preference to keep playing, but I think it's been part of the conversation. They have talked about everything from moving games from one arena in a city to the away arena based on the schedule of a night's games, even looking at games at neutral sites, maybe even in non-NBA cities. But right now, the push is to continue playing games with the current schedule we have in arenas that are going to be empty, following the lead of what the NCAA did with the college basketball tournaments today, which is to play them for the foreseeable future in empty arenas. But the league office, Adam Silver ultimately is going to decide that, I'm told, by tomorrow. They have to get moving in a direction here. And certainly the consensus, again, that I'm told, along with Zach Lowe, is to continue playing the games without fans.
Wendy, let's get back to you here. What do you think ultimately will happen here? Because even though there are no cases of NBA players having contracted the virus, in the same breath, there's got to be obviously a very palpable fear of that. What do you think leads to them ultimately making this decision and just sticking with one decision over the other?
If Woj says that the owner's consensus is to keep playing, he's right. Woj is always right. I'm just going to tell you, I'm looking at what happened in China and I'm looking at what happened in Italy. And in both those cases, they tried to continue those leagues, especially in Italy, without fans in the soccer league, and it just did not work. Mm-hmm. And now today we have a reported case of a Juventus player, one of the most powerful, biggest teams in Italy, coming down with the coronavirus. I think that eventually you're going to see the leagues have to suspend. That's my opinion. Mm-hmm. They're gonna have to suspend play from a just player health standpoint and from a financial standpoint, because one of the things that's going to happen here, that every game you play without fans, it's millions and millions of dollars. And in the playoffs, where ticket revenue is a vital part of the NBA's revenue pie, it's going to be probably between $100 and $200 million lost if they play playoff games without it. And not that revenue would lead here, right, but it's going to be a factor.
Woj, Adam Silver is the commissioner of the National Basketball Association. Do you anticipate him making this call or ultimately putting it to a vote? I know he had conversations with league owners, but is this going to simply come down to the commissioner making a call, or is he going to look for the owners to vote on it? What can you tell us about that?
I think Stephen, somewhere in between that with Adam Silver. I don't know that there's a specific vote here, but part of what he wanted to do today was to hear his owners out in a group setting. There's been a lot of one-off conversation, certainly recently, but in the end, this is a commissioner's decision, and he's got to make it in partnership, not just with the other owners. They met with the Players Association today, and in that meeting, they told the Players Association their goal was to try to keep, again, playing the games without fans, not having to cancel games. And then, of course, television, arenas, Brian mentioned that, all the other factors. There's a lot of constituents here when you're making this decision, but this is ultimately at the feet of the commissioner.
Woj and Wendy, they'll be with us throughout the show. Don't go anywhere. Here's more reaction from around the NBA today, starting with Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Obviously, this is the NBA, and we're paid to play games. Now having fans is going to be tough, because everybody that play basketball, they play for the fans. They play for, energy, the atmosphere. But at the end of the day, we got to think about, our health and safety, not just the players, the fans.
Because at the end of the day, professional basketball players, so we got to play in an empty arena. It wouldn't be fun, but, it'd be competitive.
You see people dying, more and more people are, getting affected by the virus, so, that's real for me. People are losing their lives, so that's when it became real for me.
Let's bring in former Memphis Grizzlies head coach, as well as the New York Knicks former head coach, David Fizdale. Coach, you first learned of the impact the coronavirus was having on the NBA. What were your thoughts, sir?
I'm not hearing you, Stephen A.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
You might have to come back to me. I'm not hearing anything.
All right, we'll get back to you. We're having some technical difficulties. We'll definitely get back to y'all in a few minutes. Coming up, we'll get you set for the Nuggets and Mavs on ESPN. Doris Burke standing by with reaction from Dallas over the coronavirus concerns and inside the must-see matchups in tonight's showdown. Plus, the NBA MVP race heats up. Has LeBron taken the lead over Giannis to win the award? We'll dissect the deciding factors. Next, don't touch that dial. More to come.
In the Warriors versus Giannis and the Bucks, coverage tips with The Jump. We are your pregame show, 8 o'clock Eastern on ABC. Steph Curry is indeed expected to return to the Warriors lineup this Thursday against the Nets. He was out with the flu last night against the Clippers, also earlier in the week. But we learned earlier today that Nets Warriors will be played without any fans in attendance due to coronavirus fears. Giannis, meanwhile, spoke today. He asked if he was nervous waiting for the results from his MRI after he took that hard fall this past Saturday. He said with a smile, quote, "Yes, I pooped my pants."
He said poop?
Well, maybe not, but it's national television, and I can't bleep myself as I'm talking. So there you go. Our reporter, Tim Bontemps, told our producer, Hillary, that he was smiling and laughing when he made that joke. I assume it was a joke, but that also he looked a little nervous. So, you know, I get it, right? This is an injury right down the stretch of the playoffs. Right down the stretch as we get toward the playoffs. We'll see how many games he ends up being out. I'm Rachel. I'm back with Amin and Coach Fizz in the house. And I want to talk Boston because the Celtics blew another fourth quarter lead last night. The Pacers went on a 21-2 run, 7 minutes left in the game. Now, Boston did hang on to win this one, right? So that was a bright spot for Boston fans. But we have seen the Celtics throw away late leads against the Nets and Thunder as well. So, Amin, again, home stretch as we head toward the playoffs, and they are going to have a tough path if they want to make the Eastern Conference Finals. What is going on? Why are they struggling?
Yeah, I just think every team goes through this. Every team goes through these games where you have a problem closing out because of one thing or another. A ball bounces wrong. Like last night was different. It wasn't late game. It was earlier in the game when they blew a big lead. So that's a different conversation. But I think back to Sunday's game against Oklahoma City, and that's just bad luck. There's bad luck sometimes that happens. Sometimes it's a lack of focus, especially when you're this deep in the year. To me personally, I don't know about you, Coach, I'm not worried about this team.
No.
Because Kemba Walker is one of the most clutch players we have in this league. Jason Tatum looks like he's growing to be one of the clutch players that we have.
He is.
You've got Marcus Smart as a smart, savvy defender. I know we saw the foul he made against Brooklyn, against Karis LeVert right there. Not particularly a smart play, but,
he
knows
of
better.
course. No,
he knows
he's
better.
the heartbeat of that team.
And Brad Stevens is a very well-prepared coach. So I think this is just the ups and downs of a year.
Yeah, and I think what you're saying is they're a different team than last year. You know, last year they were 5th in assists. This year they're 25th in assists. And so what happens in some of these comebacks, I'm watching their games, they get caught holding the ball a lot. And when you're standing around, you end up taking tougher shots. Teams get out on the break. They score faster, and that eats up leads. And so I think they got to get back to just trusting each other in those situations, being willing to make easy plays for each other because they got so much talent out there on the floor, offensive talent. They can't get in this game of taking turns. They got to try to help the next guy get open shots, and that'll help their transition defense.
I didn't notice those assist numbers. That's fascinating and interesting, too, because we've seen guys come back from injury on the Celtics team. And one thing we heard last year, right, in addition to all the noise inside the locker room, was just on the floor. It was hard to sort of know who was taking the lead, who was doing what. Jason Tatum obviously really taking some great steps in the middle of this season, but with Kemba back and all the stuff, it might be a little bit trying to figure out who does what when.
Absolutely,
right?
but I think ultimately Tatum is going to be their go-to guy down the stretch just because, and Kemba can go get a shot, don't get me wrong, but when you got a 6'8" guy that could go get a shot over the top of somebody, I probably wouldn't be sitting here with you if it wasn't for him hitting a buzzer beater over the top of R.J. Barrett. But guys like that, those are the guys you put the ball in their hands late in games and they can go end it for you.
Well, I feel bad for R.J. Barrett, but I'm happy for me that I get to. Coming up, we're going to play the stat market. LeBron averaging a career high in total points created this season. Should we buy or sell him keeping up this pace in the postseason? First, though, I want you all to head over to ESPN Plus. Wednesday's best NBA bets. Now, we're not condoning gambling in this establishment here on The Jump, but we're not condoning gambling either. We'll be right back.
Shout out Doug Kazarian.
Put your dice up, man.
Hey,